Yeah, so that's kind of my purpose for today, is like building more connection to review the auto database. Well, I know I talked about it already last week. Thursday we didn't have class, but I have recordings for the Excel. I build the Excel for myself, okay, by myself to implement the 4 entities or 4 tables we have here, and then you can create a simple relationship in Excel. But for, like I'm saying, if you want to do like more queries, like data research and data request from the tables, we have to use Access, okay, because that's really something designed for database management especially. So any other questions that are regarding the progress? To any housekeeping issues?
None for me.
Okay. But if you have any question, always like during the process, just open your mic. We only have quite like limited students here, so you can just open your mic and start to talk. Let's review the structure modeling we talked about in chapter 5 before we proceed to the registrar example. We have the UML, right? So Unified Modeling Language. For this type of modeling, they have 4 components, or you can say 3 components, 3 or 4 different components we need to put in the structure model. Can anyone tell me, like the square, the rectangles? So what normally we call the overall name? So the name of the concept, like persons, automobiles, dealers, or state. So in the UML model, what's the general name for those?
Is it activities?
Is it the frame?
Frame, you say?
Well, not like the
Is the primary key?
period.
Primary key is the key attribute, like you can see under the, like the person ID, right? That's like the key attribute of each of the. So here. Classes or entities, right? So like in UML, they normally call classes, and in the entity relationship, they also can call entities or classes. Okay, so you can use it interchangeably. And the way we impress or implement the entities or classes in the database, we use the table formats. Okay, so most often you hear me talk about tables really rather than I call it entities or classes. But when I refer to a table, I normally like call a person table, we auto table, and you know when I'm referring to the class, or the entity. So those are the key interest for our database. Okay, in this database, I need to summarize what are the main objects, what I want to track in the database. There are main objects of data interest. Okay, so it needed to be a concrete object, can be persons, right? Like the customers, vendors, employees, teachers, students, register person, right? Can be persons, or can be a asset. We have lots of assets in accounting, right? So resources, assets, cash, cars, buildings, accounts receivables, right? So even like all of your financial accounts can be a table in the database, right? In the accounting database. So we have accounts payables, common stock, dividend. Each financial account we use in the accounting equation or tracking the transactions can be designed as a table. And then dealers, or dealers is a business, right? So you can say it's an organization like a school, department, or college, right? So like that can be the, so not really person, but it's an organization level. And then state is another organizations, right? So that's our data interest. So in this simple auto service, so we, you may say, oh, I also have some other objects, like for example, the service person, right? Like the, what I say, the people working on, like taking customer orders or working on the cars, right? So, working on, mechanics, right? Like technicians. Okay, that's fine. You can add, no problem. But I'm just saying, for example, we focus on these 4 entities. But if you work in a dealership, right? Think about, I'm the manager of the dealership or the management, like or accounting. We do probably need to bring the technicians, right? So like the mechanics were into our database. And then if you expand it, so we probably have materials, right? Like, so the one, like the different materials, we serve the car, like the oils, and I couldn't think about anything else, like change the, but all of the supplies, right, you use the in a car service, right, parts, right, so they have the parts department. But I'm just thinking of focus on, but you can imagine in a real business, and this database can go much larger than this, right? So you need to incorporate and include all of your operational aspects, okay, beyond the financial accounting side, your operational, your HR management, overall management, service department, right? So there are much more data we can track in this process. But we have these 4 as examples here. So we have, you need to identify the classes or entities in the table formats. But we also need to decide the relationships or the associations between the different entities based upon their logical or natural relationships. So you have to link them by logical ways, or you don't really need to link all of them. Like for example, we mentioned between the person and the state, they don't have direct relationship here, right? So you may say, oh, I do have business with the state, right? So I register my car with the state, or I do some other things with, but in our database model, there is no need for you to link the person and the state. And also you don't, you see there is no link between the dealers and the states. We have three major relationships between the person and the car, between the car and the dealer, and between the car and the state. And you need to use a simple verb, right? So like the verb to describe the relationships. So there is really no right or wrong, between, like for these verbal descriptions, but you need to explain clearly what's happening here. So persons own the cars, or you can say the cars are owned by the persons, right? So like, both ways. Service, okay, so service by the dealers, or dealer provide a service to the autos. So that's kind of the associations, the second component. Then the other one, the multiplicities or cardinalities with these instances of referring to the other table. Okay, how many instances for each table can be responding to the other table? So can anyone remember? So what's the 0 to? So 0 to star means what? So when I'm looking the direction from the person to the car, we put 0 too many. So what's this 0 too many means? So basically it indicates the minimum and the maximum incidences of the autos can be related to a person because of the ownership. So anyone can remember, like, so one person, so what's the minimum cars a person can own, when what's the maximum?
The minimum is 1.
So does
Zero.
everyone have a car?
0.
Zero, yeah, sometimes,
Zero.
yeah,
Zero,
zero,
yeah.
like theoretically, right? So we auto, I think I know most people, right? Most people has a car, but doesn't guarantee everyone. Okay, so 0. And then, but the maximum theoretically is unlimited, right? So we can say many. So you can be 1, 2, 3, 5, right? So like, something, but theoretically unlimited. So we have this 0 too many, with 0 too many. And then if you look backwards from the right to the left, one car. Okay, if I'm looking for one specific car, how many person can own this car? The minimum and maximum. I'm assuming, so we are assuming single ownership. All right, we don't split the title. So one
A minimum of 1,
and
maximum.
yeah, only one. So one and only one. So we call 1 to 1. So one and only one means one special car can be owned by one specific person only. Okay, so that because later again, when you design the database, if you didn't specify these instances, I mentioned you can input. So you may be blocked. For example, if I don't have a many on this side, the firm may only allow me, for each person, they only allow me to enter one car under the person's name. Make sense? Like, like if you have a firm or enter into a tables, or if you didn't define the money relationship. And again, if you didn't define the money, when you generate data from the database, so I want to print a ownership, owners and their car list. They may only return you the first car the person owned, but not all of the cars. So that can affect the like the database, like actually the data entries into the database and the generate output. Okay, so that's very critical. So then others, we have one too many. Okay, like, we have four types of multiplicities. We have 0 too many, and then 1 to 1, and then the other one is 1 too many. Okay, that's something happens like when we're looking for the state, right? So like when you're looking for one state, they can have at a minimum one car registered. You may say like they may have 0, but that's not possible, right? So that's normally happen. So that they probably have at least one car registered, and the maximum is unlimited. Okay, so that's just another variation of the 0 too many. So we do can have 1 too many. Or if you are for sure, the minimum is 1. And then the unique thing is between you can see this we do have 0 to 0, 1 too many. We have this. Let's see this. Yeah, summarize. 0 to 1 or 0 to 1. Oh, we didn't talk about this. 0 to 1 is very rarely I see in the databases, but theoretically, so minimum is 0 and the maximum is 1. So far, we haven't really seen an example yet, but theoretically, you should have it. Oh, so that's the 4 simple ones. But when you implement, there is a special case here. You see between the car and the dealers. Later, when we try to do the registrar, we'll have something similar. Okay, that's like I want to explain. You can see between the auto and the dealer, you go from each way, you got a one to many, right? So one to many. So from the dealers, they can serve at minimum one vehicle or unlimited. And from the auto, like the car, the vehicle perspective, it can be serviced by at least one dealer or unlimited dealers. We can bring the car to different dealers to fix it in different situations. And so some other database, they call here, because some like in the entity, or if you see like some variation of the other language, what they call this relationship, they call many to many. And sometimes they use this symbol. I believe it's like this. So why we say many to many? Because if you see the relationship between both sides, you have many, right? So like, but if you have a many to many, theoretically it's fun, but when you implement in your database, it create additional issues. Because when you try to link them, you got the problem. So how many details you want to provide in both of the database? You probably have too many attributes. I explained in last Thursday's recorded video. Because if you want to just keep this many to many directly, so think about for the dealer, think about on the dealer side. Okay, they need to have like the dealer, right? So dealer ID and then car ID, right? And then because the dealer can serve many cars in the same time. So I have like this dealer, then first like same dealer. Okay, the dealer, then car number 1, then the dealer, car number 2, then the dealer, car number 3. Then if you're looking for all of the 3 cars, they may like owned by the same person, or like but you can see in this relationship, if you only use the dealer ID, is not a unique primary key. Yeah, let me draw this briefly. So think you have the dealer table. For this many to many, okay, this is my ID dealer. And for example, dealer number 1, I'm serving like, so this is like maybe like auto 1. Okay, I mean just the A1. Okay, and also dealer 1 serves the auto 2. Right, so this is the auto IDs. But you remember when we talk about in the primary key rules, normally each table you have one unique primary key, so you can identify the different rows. So if you look in my table here, like the auto, the dealer and the cars. So if you have these things, then I have the dates maybe, right? Like, for the service, like the date and the charge, right? Like hours, other attributes. But can we use the dealer ID as a primary key? Can you only use the primary key, like use the dealer ID as the primary key as the unique identifier? So if I only use the first column, is this unique for each row? Idea?
If it's unique, then you can use it.
You can, right? But if I only looking for like, when I search the data, right? So I want to search. So can I just search the database using the dealer ID? You can 2 rows, I have the same dealer ID. So it's not unique. I need to combine the dealer ID and the car ID. I can identify each unique service. Agree? So the dealer ID is not adequate for me to identify all of the services we provided. So dealer ID is not a unique to identify the services. So let's wait, make sure you understand this, because that's really make us later to create something in the middle for many-to-many relationships. And on the other side, if you're looking for the autos, like I have A1, right? So I have A2, like all of the cars. But if you're looking for one to connect them to the dealers, and each car can be serviced by different dealers. So I have A1, like first time I use the dealer 1. And I have another A1, like the car number 1. Last time we used the dealer number 2. So you can see both sides, you will have issues related to the primary key. If you want to reflect or provide both the dealer and cars, or cars and dealer. So in that case, for the many-to-many relationships, we have to put something in the middle to separate this complicated situation into 2 simple link or 2 simple relations. So that's this one, I believe, here. So that's the final database. Okay, after analyzing the relationships, once you implement in the Access. So when we move on to the Access practice, you will see we can do this very simple. Okay, so you can link the tables. But initially we talk about we have 4 entities: person, dealer, auto, and states. But now is coming something in the between. And this is actually, I draw the table here in which I'm putting a composite primary key, because this one, the middle table, give you the car and the dealer combination for each of the individual services, like the service we performed on daily basis or in your database. Then the dealer, they only focus on is like a customer profile, like a dealer profile, like the dealer ID, dealer name, and their locations or contact information, but it doesn't really track the specific service information. So it's only like a dealer's own organization information. Similarly, on the car, the auto side, we are only reflecting the different features related to the car, like the ID, manufacturer, model, and the model years, and the person owned, like the ownership, and the state licensed. And so it didn't also have the service, like the service information. Then if you're looking for the service history of the car, you see, we can use this middle table, because this one is, you can say, you created another class or entity or table. This is a activity. So like a action, right? So service performed. And in this middle one is combine the primary key from both sides. And then you can say others, like for example, I'm saying, oh, the date we did the service, right? And that's important. And the hours, maybe the labor hours, right? So because that's the base of your charge. Yeah, you can maybe separate, or maybe the parts, like the cost, like the parts, materials, right? Or you can probably say the charge, the dollars, right? So the billing amount and the payment, whatever the other things. But you can see this, so what's this middle table can help us break down. So after we insert this middle table, the relationship, the multiplicities from both sides becomes to one to many. So we break it down in many to many to one to many. So there will be no confusion, or if you insert too much information in the dealers and autos, and that's really make it hard, okay, make it confusing, you put in this service information. So we kind of make the service information independent from the auto and the dealers. Okay, so you change them from 2 to 3 tables. Okay, so then this will work in the database. And then you can generate queries or like request the data. So you are asking the data for the auto, for dealers, or you can ask the data for the service only, okay, rather than messing up the information around. But that's only for many-to-many relationships. Make sense?
A little.
Yeah, a little, yeah. And I think after, so if you see I posted, I think the example of the Excel I made, I made a few examples. So if you, I don't know whether you listened the recording I made for last Thursday. I use Excel to show the relationships, to show the tables, and also I have records. So if you didn't, probably, if you can, that will help, like, to understand better. Yeah.
Okay.
And now let's change to the register thing, or even we can do something after the register example. You will get better on this part also, because we are doing something similar, but using a different case. We also will have a many-to-many relationship. We have to insert something in the middle, to show. Let me change this and share my. Basically, I have an empty one because I really want to work with you together. Okay, so because by just the talking, it's very hard to understand, okay, this middle thing. But when you work on something in real, you got it. You both mostly, or most of the time, people will get it. So again, okay, I'm trying to. It's not really something a finalized or right or wrong. Okay, just use something we are familiar, like the register process, right? So you register for class for a semester, and so we use the UML. So like we need to identify the 4 elements, then we can move to implement. So think about it, like you go to the registrar's office, right? Or I don't know, you can do this online already. So what are the main entities of classes we want to track in this process? So how you select classes and get registered?
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Oh,
Mhm.
I mean, like normally our advisor assists us with what our plan is
Yeah,
for.
so you have a person, right? So advisor.
Mhm.
Advisor is a employee, right? So staff in the school. So we can definitely have advisor, like a table, right? So all is under the general employee database, right? So I will put it there. And how about yourself? Do we need to track your information
Yes.
as
Like you
a
need to know
student?
previous courses. Yes.
Right. Student. Okay, so student is a, data important, right? So data or group of data in any schools. And this one, be careful. I'm not really talking about the classes you're taking and it's maybe in your record, but we'll see. Oh, so anything else? So how you can know what classes are available to you?
When you search the catalog,
Catalog, right? So catalog, or I can say like a course. Or I just can I call course list, right? Or is that yeah, something like that. And anything else? So advisor students course listing. How about faculty? Do you want to know who teaches this course?
Yes. So I guess
Yeah,
you need faculty and
let's
then I
just
guess
put it
online or
there. Yeah, online, yeah, the format, right? So format of the class. So online, face to face, but let's put it there briefly. And so let's just I think this four probably will enough, because later we need to have a fifth one. Okay, you can see the reason why. And the relationship, once we put the tables, that's kind of like this is straightforward, right? So you can say the advisor offers advising service to the students, right? Or recommend a course, right? So recommend a course to the students. So we have some relationship between the advisor and the student. How about between student and the course listing? So if I have tables, do I need to link these two? This is the student select course. So courses from the listing. Okay, they must be linked. Otherwise, how you can know? Even I know I have the classes, how I can register for them? Okay, they must be linked. And teachers, I think there may be in the course listing, like for each semester especially, right? You should have maybe the teacher related to it. But overall, each semester we may have different teachers, right? So I'm thinking about the course listing is semester by semester, right? So fall 2023 or spring 2024 or summer, then we have specific information for that class format, teachers, and enrollment or related information. But relationships, and then attributes. So attributes means if you create like each of them as a table. So what will be the primary key, right? So the keys, right? So primary key. And if you have linked tables, what will be the foreign key? Because the foreign key will help you link this table to the other one. So primary key and the foreign key normally will be a pair, right? For example, the student ID can be the link, right, between the maybe the course like the courses you are taking and the students. But we will work on that in details. And then your other attributes, like the features we want to track each of the tables. Like if you have students, for example, your major, right? Like your status is a junior, is freshman, is sophomores, and maybe your overall GPA, right? Major GPA, your majors and other related profiling information. And then the multiplicities, okay, we'll leave it to when we design the tables, because then we will analyze for how many, like for simple case, if so one student, so what's the minimum course a student can register and what's the maximum?
Meaning you can register for one course.
Yeah, theoretical minimum, or maybe so for our school, do you have a maximum course or credit hours? I believe 8. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 or 5 courses.
Oh, I don't
15
know.
hours or 18 hours per semester. Maximum.
Was it 5 classes?
Yeah,
5 and 3,
maybe 5
15,
classes. Yeah,
maybe
15.
15,
Yeah,
and with
that's
the
I'm just
minimum of
assuming. Yeah,
6.
right. So that's like the multiplicities. And then for example, each course you need to have at least one teacher, right? Like one teacher to teach it. So that's we will see. Now let's move on to the second. Or maybe we can put them together. So we can refer to the component. So I will just use like for example, my student table. Just directly do here. And the registrar is the thing like maybe your advisor, right? So like I can change this. And the courses. And then teachers. So let's work on the students' data first. So what it should be if you think a student profile, okay, attract and maintained by the school, what should be the primary key? Think about the attributes. So in our school system, so how you identify yourself in different situations?
Student number.
ID, yeah, student, our T number, right? So in our case, is unique and is permanent, right? So even you leave school, you can always come back. For example, requires a copy of your transcript, even 10, 20 years later, and checking other information, the T numbers. And then I will just put something simple, like, name and address, right? Mailing address, or then you have different addresses. And contact in your phone, right? Maybe. Email, I think email is more, right? So your T, like our TSU email, right? Student emails and phone and maybe your major, right? So I think on claim, then maybe I'm thinking that maybe your overall GPA, but maybe your how I can say status can be this is like your junior, senior, right? Like, I think normally they have like the hours you completed, right? So in the database, your degree plan, and maybe for example, your overall GPA, right? And any others, I'm just saying with this. Anything you can think about, I should have in the other attributes. Oh, that's the thing. You have your own. So each of you are. You should. You are assigned by. You are assigned to an advisor, right? Do you have the same advisor for all of the years, or they may change?
Depending on your major, is your
Depending on
advisor.
major, yeah. Let's assume maybe, I indicate who is the advisor, right? Or like, advisor contact, right? So if I have like, some questions, who should I talk? about the student's situation. So like maybe like advisor ID, right? Like or contact something. Did you see there's the link? Okay. And this one. Right, advisor ID. And this one maybe because advisor is also a TSU employee, right? So the T number should be the primary key as well for the advisor. By the way, we can link this. Okay, we can have another advisor ID assigned to the advisor. So we can do this. This. So when we're looking for the advisor information for a specific student, so we can search the advisor database, okay, by the ID. Then we know who is this person, and then you may have that's kind of your employee, like maybe name, and also like the working years, right? So like that's kind of the HR or some other position information, right? So either senior or like junior, like advisor, they have different status. So now we have these two. Then how about the course, like I'm saying? So like we mentioned, think about the multiplicities. How many students, like what's the minimum and maximum courses can a student take?
The minimum is 1.
Yeah, let's just think 1, right? So because if you don't have 1, you don't really need to register, right? So like, let me put it small on this side. So 1, too many. Right, agreeing? So 1 too many, right? And then think about it from the course. 1 course. So what's the minimum and maximum students can a class to be registered? So think about like our accounting 300. So what's the minimum students and what the maximum is can enroll?
I thought we were going with this, the 1 in 5.
No, from student side, you can do minimum 1 and maximize 5, right? But from a course perspective, like accounting 300 in the spring, how many like minimum students, like what's the minimum
Okay.
enrollment? Yeah, minimum enrollment and maximum enrollment.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, going back to the courses, you said 1 to many, but you're not allowed to take an unlimited number of courses. They limit the number of hours you can
I
take.
know, yeah, I just like I can put a 5, no problem. But in the database modeling and anything larger than 1, so we just use a star, right? So, but you
Oh,
can
okay.
but you can use this star for your specific situations, right? So, but this is only means more than 1, okay, in general, more than 1 instance. So
Okay, got
yeah,
it.
in general, we can say like multiple, right? So not really unlimited. Yeah, and then for each course, the minimum enrollment, at least I can tell you, I believe for under, I think from my experience is we can open the course if we have minimum 8 students for under, or probably they increase it to 10 right now. And probably maximum for accounting is 40 or 45. or 50, I think maximum, right? But you can, this is our true situation, right? But if I just use the regular modeling, I will do the same. So 1, 2, many. Same thing on both sides. But again, that's only a symbol. Okay, you can apply your like individual situations. So now the problem is like we mentioned, similar to the auto and the dealers. Both sides you have one too many, because each student you can register for more than one class, right? So I couldn't really add a class, right? See, like, under your student profile, and that's the point. Under your general student profile, do you want to put all of the courses you have taken so far in your program? Mix with all of your other general profiling information. Like, see, I will add up my fall classes, spring classes, summer is really messed up, right? So, and similar on the other side, like if I have accounting 300, I have 40 students or 50 students. I know some of the science class, they may have 200, computer class, 300 class. Do I want to have like, this is my course ID, right? So like this is, do I want to put all of the students' name under the course? You can, but it's also mess up, right? Because each, like I may have 50 or 200 students underneath. So that's, I'm saying the many-to-many problems, like the dealer things. We need to build something in the middle to simplify the relationship between side. And this will be, okay, let me put it, and then you can see the reason. We can call student and that will indicate for each student and each course they registered. And for this one, I will put T number, right? And for this one, T number, and also I will put the course ID, then it can repeat. So one student can take multiple, like at maximum 5 courses. So you can see I'm putting, for this table, is taking both of the T number from the student table and the course ID from the course table as the primary key. So let's give the teacher, we really don't really need the teacher. Because teacher, you can add it easily to the database. But the main thing is this one. So we don't really have it in the beginning, but because of the many-to-many relationships between students and courses, we insert a middle, right? So student registration. So if you put like this into the table, like let me put an example, like, for example, I have T like 111, then another T111, they can, like in this table, they can take, like accounting 300. So what other classes you are taking? So let me know, because that's really another separate database. So student and courses they take. And later you can input their grade they made in this class. And this one can be, for example, accounting, probably you are taking 331, right, in the same time, or maybe also like English, right, like 300. I'm just like, so making up the same students. Did you see? So this will be like my student registration table. And this is my T number, then course ID, okay, for each semester. Because later we do have this in the course ID, actually they don't really use this, they use the, I forgot, TSU, we have our system. So we can tell is fall or spring and which year. Okay, they have like by the course ID, you can identify each of the courses in different semesters. Then the nice thing is, for the student database, you can just focus on the general student's profile. And then the course, I can focus on like the course ID, the course name, like department, right? So like, and maybe school, and you can have a faculty ID or like the T number, like who teach it. Okay, that's like your teacher ID. And then you can see like the enrollment and the format, right? So the format is online or hybrid or face-to-face and other information like classroom maybe, right? The room information if is so you wouldn't really mess up, worry about, oh, I need to put all of the courses for each student, or I need to put all of the students for each course. Then by building this grid, can like students on other side and the courses on the other side, and then we have this middle table to link them together. Okay, by the courses they registered. So to see this, whether this will help to understand this many to many. So why we need this other table initially not in your entity analysis. Because this is very, very often happened, right? So we have to this registration. It's a very often situation will have many to many multiplicities. So what I continue, because I only made a few like data records, like for my student registration table, but you can continue. For example, that's one student. If you continue, you can make up some more numbers, like, data records. Then this one I can change to. Then you can looking for another student, right? So like a T, maybe 2222. Oh, then all of the courses this student registered. And then you can have all of your student information, like the data's in the student table, and then, the other things. But the main thing I think we are trying to get comfortable is this middle one, because in chapter 6, we have something like when you do sales, right? One is the customer. Yeah, I can give you some. And this is the inventory. Yeah, something similar is one side you have customer and the other side is the company's inventory when you trying to make a sales database. So one customer can buy minimum maybe 0 and the maximum many inventories, right? So when they shop in the stores. And then one type of inventory can be bought by maybe no customer or unlimited customers. So again, this is very hard, or you can see like, link. Oh, I think this is the So not inventory yet, only sales. So one customer can make 0 like a purchase, or like, you can see sales order, like they can make 1 or 0 sales order or maximum, right? So unlimited. And one thing about like sales item or sales order can be made by like the items, okay, you sell. So in that case, you will create a sales order table. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, they call sales order item. So they will have customer ID and then the inventory ID. So one customer can buy more than one type of inventories, or it's similar, the students can take more than one courses. And then the customer, you have the general customer profile, and the sales will only, you can like the sales order, this one focus on the total sales revenue, but not for each sales item. Okay. So each sales item you put on this middle, okay, like sales order. Yeah, I think this is. But they put, I should put, yeah, should be inventory. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so they can buy more than. So more questions? Or does it make sense? So this sales item is really like the invoices we got from the store after you finish your purchase, right? So it's a one invoice, but it's print, right? So one customer, but it lists all of the items you bought from the store. So one customer can have multiple items. And one item on the other side can appear in different receipt or invoices, right? So can be sold to different customers. So it's like the sales receipt is become a like this sales order item. Or then the company maintain a separate customer profile and sales order or sales inventory. Okay, then they track their own information. But if you see the sales information, you look for this combined, okay, like a sales item details. So questions? Or still very confused?
I mean, I kind of get it. I mean, I guess I'm looking at it at the back end. I don't look at it at this end. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the other side. So I guess I'll get it.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, like, yeah, when I'm looking for this, you probably have your own perspective, right? So, but at least you work it around. And now if we can insert, you can see this link. And the T number, right? So like, we have this This is the link between the student and the student registration. So if I want to see, for example, oh, for this student, how many courses he or she registered, right? So I can use, like, can see, you know, I can view or request all of the courses he or she choose by linking these two tables. And if I, from the other way, I want to know for this special course, how many students or who registered for that class, and then you can look from for this side. So when we insert this middle table, you simplify it. So it's become like one to many. You can move this. So one course can be taken by multiple students. Okay, minimum one and maximum many. Okay, so this one is simplified. And one student can take minimum one and maximum might be 5 courses. So it's become more clear when we analyze the relationships. Okay, so that's like the primary key, foreign key, primary key, foreign key. Okay, so we can do data queries later. And again, this is, so both is like the, so advisor by linking, so I need to move this one. Okay. So advisor ID and advisor ID. Oh, if I want to search, initially I'm checking. Okay, think about this is a linked database. Initially I'm in the student database, right? And I searched, I found, oh, this is the advisor for this student. If it's a link, think about when we go to like the link they provided in a Word. And if I click on this link, like the link under the field, and then it will open the advisor database if I have the access right, or then I will be able to know the other information for this advisor. Make sense? Right. So you have a link means this is linked to more database. Or I can click on the T number, and then it's giving me maybe like it's linking to the registered courses for that students. And if I click on this ID, it's probably open like something like the database for all of the students under my course. And again, like this faculty ID, so the teachers, they also have their T number, right? And probably this will be the T number for the faculty, okay, like the faculty's T number. And so the course, you also can know who is teaching that course. Primary key and foreign key. So again, this is on a rough idea, okay, like trying to open our mind rather than like step by step. But again, like I mentioned, so if you have interest, you can map and implement, like, I will use like the worksheets, just like the one I did for the auto database. I will create 4 worksheets or 5, okay, like maybe you can focus on students, student registration courses, advisor, like a teacher, right? So these two are kind of like optional, but the main thing is these 3. Okay, that's really the relationship we are looking for. Okay, so these 3. Because other this like the direct one-to-many is much better or much easier, okay, to understand, by making this link, because this table, we initially don't have it in our original entity analysis. So you create it based upon, like the rules, or it's kind of like the database rules. So we used in the practice. So in chapter 6, we are going to continue digging on, dig on this. So if you haven't finished the chapter 5 homework yet, so what I want to remind is be careful on the last few, like these multiplicity questions, like how to describe the relationship. I believe one question asking this one-to-many, you better put on the sales side or better put on the customer side. Like this labeling, or it should be on the left side of the line or right side. So be careful. So after you analyze it carefully, and because from each side we interpret differently. Okay, so be careful. That's only simple. And I think Thursday, if we have no other things, we'll move to chapter 6. And I believe I can do some initial demos for the Access database. And even for this, okay, what I can help, I'm thinking. So how about let me make a Access database for this registrar, probably by tomorrow, so I can send you the file and then we can talk about it on Thursday. So you see a real implementation of the ideas we have here, and how I can do some simple search, like, so trying to like do some coding and search and generate reports from the files we have here. And in the meantime, you are welcome to continue to think about like this, or you want to do maybe in Excel, I create tables and make up some data rows. Okay, so I can understand that better. So I think that's probably for today. Any questions? Or do you have any other thoughts?
No, I'm gonna go and look at your YouTube video that you put out there.
Oh, okay, yeah, and this one, so today's I will add to the list, right? So this one, yeah, we have one. Yeah, the second one is for Tuesday last week, and then we have added this one. And that one explained the Excel, and the Excel itself, I believe I posted on the Blackboard or under the chapter 5 material. So if you want to see my worksheets for the auto database.